and welcome to Cyren's fourth quarter and full year 2020 financial results conference call. This call is being broadcast live and can be accessed on the investor relations section of the Cyren website. Before we begin, please let me remind you that during the course of this conference call, Cyren's management may make forward-looking statements. These forward-looking statements are based on current expectations that are subject to a number of risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ materially from expectations. These risks are outlined in the Risk Factors section of our SEC filings, including our annual report on Form 10-K filed on March 30, 2020. Any forward-looking statements should be considered in light of these risk factors. Please also note as a safe harbor, any outlook we present is as of today, and management does not undertake any obligation to revise any forward-looking statements in the future. Also, during the course of this conference call, we may discuss non-GAAP measures when talking about the company's performance. Reconciliations to the most directly comparable GAAP financial measures are provided in the tables in the earnings press release issued today and available on the investor relations section of our website. These financial measures are included for the benefit of investors and should be considered in addition to and not instead of GAAP measures. Joining me on today's call, we have Brett Jackson, Chief Executive Officer, Ken Tarpey, Cyren's new Chief Financial Officer, and Mike Meiseral, Cyren's former Chief Financial Officer, who is moving on from Cyren at the end of the week after 10 years with the company. With that, I will now hand the call over to Brett.
Thanks, Eric. I'd like to thank everyone for joining the call today to discuss our Q4 and 2020 results. 2020 was a year of transition for Cyren as we executed a new strategy to enable growth. We brought new products to market targeting the enterprise, wound down legacy SMB offerings, revitalized our core threat detection services business, and streamlined our organization. We exited the year having achieved our primary operational goals and gained valuable momentum in the second half that will serve us well in 2021. The key highlight of our fourth quarter was the continued progress with Cyren Inbox Security, our next generation cloud-based email security solution. As we have mentioned in past calls, we see this new product as Cyren's top growth engine based on the size of the market opportunity and the capabilities of our product. Microsoft 365 is the dominant email platform used by enterprises globally, and evasive phishing continues to be a problem for IT and security organizations, bypassing existing security measures like secure email gateways. In our opinion, this is a market opportunity with an estimated $1 billion total addressable market. Given this, we plan to continue focusing the majority of our sales and marketing investment on penetrating this market, ramping revenues, and building market share. Q4 was our second full quarter in the market with CIS. New customer transactions in the quarter increased 30% from Q3, while revenues grew 140%. A few weeks ago, we announced that Sika Group purchased Cyren Inbox Security to help mitigate phishing, rolling out our product to more than 20,000 users across its global operations. Sika's Global Security Operations Center wanted visibility of phishing attacks across the enterprise, automated detection, response, and remediation of incidents, as well as the ability for users to scan and report suspicious emails. We believe this transaction is representative of the opportunities that lie ahead of us. We also announced that Cyren Inbox Security is available in the Microsoft Azure Marketplace, which we believe will raise awareness and provide a convenient way for Microsoft customers to review and evaluate our product. While it is still early days in the product lifecycle, we continue to be very encouraged by customer reaction to our value proposition, our competitive differentiation, and our win rate. While we are focused on growing our enterprise business with Cyren Inbox Security, the majority of our revenues come from our core threat detection and intelligence business. We provide our embeddable threat detection services and threat intelligence data to the world's largest email providers and the leading cybersecurity vendors to help protect against email-borne threats. During the quarter, we closed several new expansion and renewal transactions, including a seven-figure multi-year contract with one of our existing large OEM customers for an additional product. Our team is focused on continuing to deliver value to our large customers, and we had strong gross retention in the quarter of approximately 95%. Additionally, we are pleased to announce a partnership with Palo Alto Networks, one of the industry leaders in cloud security. We've recently integrated our enterprise threat intelligence solution, Threat in Depth, with Palo Alto's Cortex XSOAR platform, which is a leading security orchestration, automation, and response platform. Cortex XSOAR is used by security teams in 34% of the Global 2000 and 65% of the Fortune 100 enterprises to simplify and harmonize security operations across an enterprise. CYRN will also join the Palo Alto Network Cortex XSOAR Marketplace, the industry's most comprehensive security orchestration ecosystem, which will enable enterprise customers to discover and consume CYRN's Threat in Depth threat intelligence. As we look forward in 2021, we will prioritize identifying and pursuing additional opportunities to streamline operations and reduce costs to improve our financial profile. Finally, as previously announced, Mike Mistral will be moving on from CYRN at the end of February. Mike has been with CYRN for 10 years and served as our CFO for 7. He's been a major contributor during his tenure here, and we wish him the best in the next step of his career. Ken Tarpey joined us as our new CFO effective February 1st. Ken is a very experienced, proven public company CFO, and we look forward to leveraging his knowledge as we work to improve CYRN's financial profile and scale revenues. I will now turn the call over to Mike, who will review fourth quarter and full year 2020 financials.
Thank you, Brett, and good afternoon. I am pleased to present CYRN's fourth quarter and full year 2020 financial results. For more detailed results, please refer to the earnings press release that was issued shortly after markets closed today and is posted on the Investor Relations section of our website. The results released today are in line with our preliminary results, which were filed on Form 8-K on February 11th. Please note that we present our financials under U.S. GAAP accounting standards, including non-operating expenses, and that I will discuss certain financial metrics on a non-GAAP or adjusted basis, which excludes those non-operating items. Please refer to the table in today's earnings release for a reconciliation of our GAAP to non-GAAP results. GAAP revenue for the fourth quarter of 2020 was $8.4 million compared to $9.5 million reported during the fourth quarter of 2019. Full year 2020 revenues were $36.4 million compared to $38.4 million for the full year 2019. As we discussed on prior calls, 2020 was a transition year for CYRN as we retired a number of legacy SMB products in order to focus on new enterprise products introduced mid-year. And as such, revenues were expected to decline until the impact from new products offset the lost revenue from discontinued products. As Brett mentioned previously, we saw good traction in the fourth quarter as revenue recognition from CIS increased 140% quarter over quarter. Revenue for the fourth quarter also included a one-time non-recurring reduction of $0.7 million for a multi-year customer contract that was restructured. This was related to a single customer who entered into a 5-year agreement in 2016 who could not fulfill their contractual obligations. The contract was amended, and the company remains a loyal CYRN customer, so we do not expect that this contract will be an issue in future quarters. GAAP gross margins for the fourth quarter were 57%, compared to 57% during Q4 2019, and for the full year, GAAP gross margins remained unchanged at 59%. On a non-GAAP basis, fourth quarter gross margins were 65%, compared to 68% during the fourth quarter of 2019. And for the full year 2020, GAAP gross margins were 66% compared to 69% a year ago. Fourth quarter GAAP net loss was $5 million, or a loss of 8 cents per basic and diluted share, compared to $5.3 million GAAP net loss and 9 cents per share during the fourth quarter of 2019. For the full year, GAAP net loss was $17.3 million, a decrease from net loss of $18 million during 2019. This translated to 29 cents per basic and diluted share in 2020 versus 33 cents per share in 2019. GAAP operating expenses for the quarter totaled $9 million, down from $10.7 million during Q4 2019. The year-over-year decrease in GAAP operating expenses is due to a decrease in R&D expense and a decrease in sales and marketing expense. R&D expense was $3.8 million this quarter, representing 45% of revenue, compared to $3.8 million during Q4 2019, when it was 40% of revenue. Overall, operating expenses for the fourth quarter declined to $9 million from $10.7 million, a a decrease of 16%. Sales and marketing expense for the quarter was $2.6 million, or 30% of revenue, down from $3.4 million, representing 35% of revenue during the same quarter last year. G&A expense for the quarter was $2.6 million, or 31% of revenue, compared to $3.6 million, or 37% of revenue during the fourth quarter of 2019. For the full year, R&D expense increased to 44% of revenue from 41% in 2019. Sales and marketing was down to 32% of revenue compared to 36% in 2019. And G&A expense decreased from 26% of revenue compared to 28% during 2019. Total headcount in the company at the end of Q4 was 220 employees compared to 248 at the end of 2019. On a non-GAAP basis, CYRN's fourth quarter 2020 net loss was $4.2 million, or a loss of 7 cents per basic and diluted share, compared to a non-GAAP net loss of $3.3 million and 6 cents per share during the fourth quarter of 2019. For the full year, CYRN's non-GAAP net loss decreased 10% to $13.8 million, or 23 cents per share, compared to $15.3 million, or 28 cents per share in 2019. CYRN's non-GAAP net loss excludes a number of non-cash items, including the effect of stock-based compensation, amortization of intangible assets, and capitalization of technology. Please refer to the table in our press release for more details on the reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP results. During the quarter, we experienced operating cash usage of $3 million compared to operating cash usage of $4.6 million during the fourth quarter of 2019. Net cash flow, excluding financing activities for the quarter, was negative $3.6 million versus negative $6 million a year ago, an improvement of 40% year over year. We finished the year with $9.3 million in cash compared to $11.6 million in cash at the end of 2019. Subsequent to quarter end, on February 16th, we closed an equity offering of 12 million shares, priced at $1.15 per share, for gross proceeds of $13.8 million before expenses. This translates into an additional $12.5 million of cash after offering expenses. The proceeds will be used for working capital and general corporate purposes, with a primary focus on accelerating the growth in our new product offerings such as CYRN Inbox Security. As Brett mentioned, we have efforts underway for additional expense reduction in order to bring our costs more in line with our revenues. For example, during 2020, we transitioned operations to an almost entirely virtual operating environment with most employees working from home. As part of our overall cost reduction strategy, we anticipate reducing office expenses, including the non-renewal of 2 of our U.S. office leases which expire in 2021. On a personal note, this is my last quarterly earnings call with the company, as I plan to leave CYRN at the end of this month. It has been my pleasure serving as CYRN CFO over the past 7 years. We were very fortunate to find a seasoned tech company CFO in Ken Tarpey, who can further improve CYRN's financial operations to help CYRN scale into its next phase of growth. I have enjoyed working with Brad and Ken over the transition period and believe the company is in very good hands moving forward. With that, I will now ask the operator to open up the lines for Q&A.
At this time, we will be conducting a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate your line is in the question queue. You may press star 2 if you would like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. One moment, please, while we poll for questions. Our first question is from Nick Mattiacci of Craig-Hallum. Please state your question.
Hi, this is Nick Mattiacci on for Chad Bennett. Thanks for taking my questions, guys. I wanted to start with kind of a thematic question. We've heard throughout the security space about how the pandemic has resulted in a pretty dramatic increase in cyber attacks, particularly email phishing. I know you guys have spoke about this a little bit, but are you seeing customers recognize this as a critical issue, and to what extent is it driving demand for you guys?
Thanks for the question. I think prior to the pandemic, we knew, based on research and a lot of analysis of the Microsoft 365 market, that phishing was a major threat, and certainly in most cases, if not an annoyance. And the pandemic with virtual working environments has certainly made that worse. So there was existing demand prior to the pandemic, and that demand has only increased because of the pandemic-driven virtual work environments. So we still feel strongly about the opportunity, whether there's a pandemic or not. We've got good data that customers are looking for help with evasive phishing across their enterprises.
Got it. And I think last quarter, I believe you guys set a target for 100,000 active users on CIS by the end of the year. Could you give us an update on where you ended the year in terms of seats and maybe an idea of how we should think about seat growth throughout the year?
Yeah, we don't have we're not at this point ready to share a projection on seat growth, but we feel good about achieving our objective and that we laid out in our previous call. And as we mentioned, we saw 30% increase in transactions from Q3 to Q4. We've got a strong pipeline in Q1 with some good-sized transactions as well. We're on the right path in terms of seat growth and meeting our internal expectations.
And then maybe on that same note, could you expand about the opportunity that exists now being in the Azure and Palo Alto marketplaces, and kind of your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the marketplace opportunities that we have both with Azure and the Palo Alto marketplace give our products visibility into the enterprise. As you maybe remember from past calls, we are refocused on growing the enterprise business away from the SMB. That was Cyren's sort of traditional target market, and it's all about getting visibility inside large enterprises. And we'll do that through our sales force, through channel partners, but also relationships. And these two marketplaces are great examples of ways for us to get our product exposed to enterprise customers and make it easier for enterprise customers to evaluate our offering and purchase our offering, frankly.
Okay, and then would you be able to help me with kind of a framework for thinking about Q1 revenues? I know CIS is growing at a rapid rate quarter over quarter, but is that becoming big enough yet to kind of push overall sequential revenue growth? And or is there anything, any other key items that I should think about when thinking about Q1 revenue?
So as we mentioned, the Q4 revenues were impacted by a one-time non-recurring adjustment to revenue. So we do anticipate that Q1 revenue will rebound over the Q4 revenue number. CIS is still a growing component of overall revenue, and so we don't anticipate that it's going to have a significant overall impact on Q1 quarterly revenues, but it will be a rebound over Q4.
Yeah, it's still, as just to echo what Mike mentioned, Cyren Inbox Security has been in the market now 2 quarters, Q3, Q4 last year. We're into its 3rd quarter, so we're still very much in the ramping phase of this new product. So it will not be, its revenue contribution will not be material in Q1, but we are encouraged by the growth opportunity there, and we believe there will come a time where its revenue contribution will be material. As we've mentioned, we see it as our biggest growth opportunity, and again, it plays into the enterprise space. So we're still excited about that opportunity, and it's a new product, so it's a journey over the course of multiple quarters.
Gotcha. And then maybe one last one for Ken if he's on the call. I just wanted to get his take on kind of what motivated him to join Cyren, what aspects of the business is he most excited about, and where will he focus be kind of in your first
Sure. Hi, this is Ken. Nice to meet you. Look forward to catching up further. From my standpoint, I've known about the company for a little bit and had the opportunity in my last company to deal with a financial loss due to phishing and understand the monetary value of what the company's offering with CIS. And that, to me, was very intriguing. Obviously, a great set of investors in the company and a long-term track record for the company with a great customer base. So for me, with all the various types of companies I've dealt with before, it just had the right ingredients to get engaged with another public company. I've dealt with a number over time and try to help Brett and the collective team to capture that opportunity.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
At this time, it appears we do not have any further questions.
We'd like to thank everyone for joining us on the call today. I look forward to keeping you updated on CYRN's progress over the coming quarters. Thanks.